In today's marriage advice video, I'll be talking about ways that you can keep the sexual spark alive in your marriage. Now, it's natural for marriages to change over time. Your relationship is never going to be as sex-craved as it was when you first started dating, and that's okay. This doesn't mean that your sexual relationship with your spouse is worse. It's just different. But if left neglected, your sex life can take a big hit, especially when things get a little busier in your life. Kids, bills, work, stress, and home responsibilities can really sap your drive to be passionate with your spouse. And on top of all that, all of these problems can compound, leaving you and your spouse feeling bitter and negative towards each other. However, there is good news. There are things that you can do right now to make sure that you reignite that sexual spark with your spouse. And it doesn't even have to be difficult, as you can see here, and it doesn't involve you bringing up awkward conversations with your spouse. So pull out a pen and paper and let's get right into it. Number one, don't be afraid to spend some time by yourself. Maybe you remember the old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder? Now this is totally true. Being constantly around someone really kills the sexual attraction. Now this may sound totally counterintuitive, but it really makes total sense when you think about it. Being apart gives yourself time to recharge your own batteries, and it gives you time to appreciate your spouse even more. It also gives your spouse a chance to miss you and vice versa. Now imagine not being able to see your partner for weeks on end. I guarantee that after that time, you'll be more than eager to jump into the sack with him or her. So honestly, don't be afraid to schedule some alone time. Maybe go on that weekend trip with your friends, or pick up some hobbies that only you enjoy. Once you see your husband or wife again, he or she is going to be far more receptive to any romance that you two of you have been missing, and you'll be more eager as well. Number two, inject some adventure in your lives. It's really easy to get caught up in the monotony of everyday life. Between work, taking the kids to school, and just life in general, there might not be a ton of time for some actual fun. So do your best to try and allocate at least some time every week to something new and exciting. It could be a new hike, a new restaurant, a new activity. It really doesn't matter. Just do your best to plan something that you and your spouse will stick to. Now, going on adventures like this is scientifically proven to release more hormones that will cause you and your spouse to bond even more. And that's going to definitely help to respark some of the passion that's been lost. Number three, use the power of your words. Now, I love you is great and should be said, but let's be honest. Once you've used this 300 times, it does lose some of the emotional luster. So instead, try and say something far more descriptive and unique. I mean, what do you actually love about your partner? Are they an amazing parent, a good cook, a hard worker, a caring partner? Use your words to describe to him or her how important that is to you. Say something like, I love how much perseverance you have. You never give up. It's one of the many things that I love about you. Or it can be something as simple as, I love how your hand feels in mine. It feels like home. Now, obviously, you're going to have to tailor your message to what fits your partner, but being as emotionally descriptive as possible can work wonders for your marriage and your sex life. Number four, stop judging your spouse. You married him or her, and that's that. Of course, nobody's perfect, so you need to accept your partner for their flaws. Being accepted for one's own faults is one of the most powerful things you can do in a relationship. Remember, your partner has accepted you for all of your flaws, so the least you can do is the same for them. Now, this is easy to say, I know, because maybe your situation is a tad different. Maybe a ton of resentment is already built up, and maybe you two have already been way too judgmental to each other. But the solution to this is simple. Just stop and tell your spouse, I know I've been giving you a hard time about this, but just know that I love you and accept you. And that's it. Now, of course, this might not be the silver bullet for you and your situation, which is why I offer email coaching just in case you need a little bit of extra help. To learn more about my email coaching program, just head over to marriageguy.com/coaching. And on that page, you can learn how to hire me and my team to help you through your marital situation. So just after this video is over, head to marriageguy.com/coaching. And on to number five, make sure you have regular date nights. Now, this is pretty simple and pretty straightforward, so I won't belabor the point, but you really need to put in the effort to spend intimate moments with just you and your spouse. Otherwise, don't expect your sex life to go anywhere but downwards. Now, what you can do to spice things up is to text your spouse something like, I can't wait for our night tonight, ... And then, a little winky emoji to help build some anticipation. Number six, begin making a list of things that you appreciate about your spouse. Try and see your spouse through other people's eyes. It's really easy to take your partner for granted if you've been with them for so many years. And a lot of what made you fall in love with them just falls to the wayside. So once in a while, write down all the things you appreciate about your spouse. Put yourself back in the shoes to that person that saw and met your partner for the very first time. How did you feel? What made them sparkle? What made you want to date them again and again until you decided to marry them? Doing this short and very easy exercise can help put you in the right frame of mind again. Number 7 is to mention sex every once in a while. Forcing your partner to have sex with you with your words is not sexy. You don't want to bring up this awkward conversation if you don't have to. So instead, be more subtle. Mention what you find sexy about him or her. Tell your partner what you like about them during sex, and tell them how good they are at it too. Tell them what turns you on about them. It could be their new haircut or their new wardrobe, or it could be something that they accomplished recently. But using this indirect approach is a far more successful way to re-spark that kind of obsessive romance that might be missing in your marriage. And number 8, go traveling together. Now, it doesn't have to be a massive trip across Africa or anything extravagant. It could just be a weekend camping trip just a few hours from where you live. But traveling together is an incredibly bonding experience. You suffer the ups, the highs, the lows. You engage with each other in ways that you simply can't while you're at home. And traveling forces you to sit down and plan and compromise and work as a team. And that can all bring you closer together. And of course, it also gives you something to look forward to as well. And it can, help you both fantasize about each other as well. After your trip is all planned out, you could say something like, "I can't wait to lie with you under the stars by that lake." Or you could even text this to your spouse as well. It'll for sure help to get both of your mojos going. Number 9, change it up in the sack. How many times have you had sex with your partner? Probably a lot. And it probably gets to the point where it sometimes just becomes routine. And routine absolutely destroys passion. So make a conscious effort to mix it up in the bedroom. I'm not going to go into specifics here because, well, you probably know your partner a lot better than I do. But think about things that you know they're into and try and play up those fantasies. Change up the location of where you're intimate with your spouse. And even, just doing your best to change one variable can have a big impact on how exciting your sex life is. So give this a shot. And number 10, be present with your spouse. Turn off Netflix and put the phone away. Try just talking to your spouse. I know this can be hard. I know sometimes I spend a little bit too much time on my phone as well. But making a conscious effort to simply connect with your spouse can go a long way to rebuilding the romantic side of your marriage. There are plenty of other times in the day you can waste more time on the phone, so don't use that valuable time with your spouse on something as wasteful as checking Instagram. Be present. And number 11 is to learn their love language. Maybe you've heard of the 5 love languages. Well, this can totally make or break your marriage, and it can totally make or break your sex life as well. I've actually already made a great video that explains what these love languages are, so if you want to learn more, check that video out. But basically, you need to learn what your partner actually appreciates and use that to your advantage. Sometimes it can be gifts, words of affirmation, or even doing favors for him or her. A lot of couples make the common mistake of thinking that their spouse wants the exact same thing as they do, but this is probably untrue. One person might like words of affirmation, but the other might prefer just some time spent together. Knowing your partner's love language is crucial if you want to turn that sex life around. All right, now this isn't a complete list of things you can do to skyrocket your sex life in your marriage. So for that, head over to marriageguy.com and watch the full video tutorial there. I promise you'll learn a ton of sneaky tricks that will make your marriage the best version of it can possibly be. Again, watch that full video at marriageguy.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for your comments, and I will chat with you all again soon.